Let's not sugarcoat it. What happened to Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another injury. It was a gut punch, the kind that leaves fans staring at their screens in disbelief, wondering how the hell the league let this one slide. A torn MCL? Out for the season? That alone is heartbreaking. But what turned a tragic moment into a full-blown scandal was what happened in the seconds that followed. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Because there was, clear as day, Bria Hartley caught on camera, smirking, grinning, not just walking away, but walking away with attitude. And just like that, the internet exploded. Now, before the Bria Hartley defenders start assembling like the Avengers, let's be real, nobody's saying she plotted Cunningham's downfall like a movie villain. But intent or not, the optics were brutal. You can't have a player writhing on the ground in obvious pain, clutching her knee, and then cut to the opponent, smiling, even if it was just bad timing or an unfortunate camera angle. It looked bad, and in professional sports, perception is reality. Within hours, WNBA Twitter had fully descended into chaos. Fans were pulling up freeze frames, slow-mo replays, posting side-by-side shots like it was a courtroom case. Debates broke out about dirty plays, player safety, and league accountability. People weren't just upset, they were furious, because this wasn't some routine foul or awkward landing. This was a hard, dangerous play. And the refs didn't even blink. No flagrant. No review. Just play on. That silence, it was deafening. And here's where it really gets messy. Sophie Cunningham isn't just any player. She's known for her grit, her hustle, the kind of player who dives into the chaos and keeps coming back for more. Love her or hate her. And let's be honest, there are strong feelings on both sides. No one questions her toughness. So when Sophie went down and didn't pop right back up, that told you everything. She doesn't stay down. And this time, she couldn't even stand. Cue the panic. Cue the outrage. Cue the family stepping in. Because if there's one thing the Cunningham family doesn't do, it's stay quiet. Sophie's sister, Lindsay, didn't waste time. She took to social media and dragged the WNBA's officiating like it owed her money. And honestly, she had a point. She didn't just call out the incident. She called out the pattern. Referees ignoring dangerous plays. Players getting hurt with no consequences. The league cracking down harder on words and actual injuries. And all while the people in charge seem more concerned with protecting their image than protecting their athletes. It's like, oh, you said a mean thing on a podcast? That's a fine. But you leveled someone midair and tore their ACL? Just get back on defense. I guess the priorities are wild. And Sophie? She may be sidelined, but she's not silent. Despite being done for the season, done chasing that playoff push she was giving her everything for, she still managed to comfort fans. A message on her socials, calm and resilient, telling everyone she's going to be okay, thanking people for the love, telling her doubters to sit down. It was classy. It was strong. It was peak Sophie, and it made the whole thing hurt more. Because this wasn't just a player getting injured. This was a player who left it all on the floor, getting taken out a moment that should have never happened under competent officiating. Let's just say it, the WNBA has an officiating problem. It's not new, it's not subtle, and it's not getting better. Every season we see it. Missed calls, uneven standards, star players getting hacked like they're in a street fight with zero whistles. Then players turn around and say something, sometimes politely, sometimes not, and boom, suspension. It's exhausting. And fans are done. Because if Sophie Cunningham tearing her MCL in the middle of physical, aggressive, and potentially targeted play doesn't warrant any sort of review or penalty, then what are we even doing? This wasn't a basketball incident. It became a symbol, a snapshot of everything that's broken and how the league protects its players. And yes, Bria Hartley is an eye of the storm right now, but let's be honest, this isn't just about her. This is about the environment that enables this. A system where there's zero accountability unless a player speaks out of turn, and then suddenly the league finds its rule book real quick. It's that double standard that has players and fans alike side-eyeing every league decision. It's the reason Sophie Cunningham had to be the one to demand change, instead of seeing it come from the league office first. It's the reason every player now feels like they're one hard fall away from being forgotten. And look, you know what's coming. The league will probably release a vague statement. We take all injuries seriously. We will continue to monitor officiating standards. Some bureaucratic nothing burger that says everything without saying anything. But what people want is action. Review the play. Own the mistake. Show that you actually care about players' safety more than protecting reputations. Because the longer the WNBA pretends this is fine, the more it chips away at the trust fans and players have in the entire system. And despite all of this chaos, the Indiana Fever kept playing, kept fighting, pulled off a shocking win against the Connecticut Sun, one of the strongest teams in the league, just days after Cunningham went down. That victory, it wasn't just a W. It was a statement. You could feel it in the way they played. Every rebound, every defensive stop, every shot that went in. It wasn't just for the standings. It was for Sophie. It was for every teammate who's been hacked and ignored. Every time a ref swallowed their whistle, every player told to be quiet and take the contact. They played with fire. And sure, questions are swirling. Can they hold it together without Cunningham? Is this momentum sustainable? Will the emotional fuel run dry? But for that one game, at least for that one moment, they were unshakable. Because Cunningham, even on crutches, is still a presence. Her leadership isn't just in the stat sheet. It's in the locker room, in the huddles, in the way her team refuses to back down. She's become a rallying figure. A symbol not of tragedy, but resistance. And here's the ironic part. The very thing that tried to knock her out made her more powerful. Now the pressure's on the league to answer the call, not just with words, but with policy, with reform, with actual protection. You've got fans demanding an independent review board for officiating, players calling for consistency in how the rules are enforced, analysts asking why the bar for dirty play is so low, yet the bar for a tech foul is so high. And while Sophie heals, the rest of the league watches and waits. Because this isn't just about one player anymore. It's about a system that has too often failed the very women it claims to elevate. So here's the reality. The league is at a crossroads. They can sweep this under the rug, wait for the news cycle to shift, and pretend nothing happened. Or they can finally listen to players, to families, to fans, and take real steps toward change. Because Cunningham's injury may have ended her season, but it started a conversation that's not going away. And if the WNBA wants to keep its credibility, it better start answering. Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe. Because if you think this was the last meltdown, oh, honey, the season's just heating up. Let's talk about the silence. No league statement. No disciplinary action. No referee accountability. Just crickets. And if you're a player watching from the sidelines, that silence tells you everything. It tells you the league's got no real plan when things go sideways. It tells you that unless you're a headline-making superstar, or unless your moment of injury gets caught on camera in a way that goes viral, you're not getting that protective umbrella. You're getting a thoughts and prayers tweet and maybe a get well soon graphic. That's not protection. That's PR. And honestly, that lack of urgency is what's really enraging fans. The idea that this could happen again and again and again, and the response will always be, we'll review internally. What does that even mean? Who's doing the reviewing? A room full of suits who haven't played a minute of basketball in their lives? Fans want transparency. Players want standards. But all they're getting is damage control. Now here's where things get extra messy. The officiating isn't just inconsistent. It's emotional. You ever watch a WNBA game and feel like refs are calling fouls based on vibes? Like one player barely brushes a jersey and gets whistled, while another full-on body slams someone. And the ref just watches like it's an episode of Survivor. It's giving high school gym teacher trying to make a point. And that's a real problem. Because in a league where players are risking their bodies every night, you can't have officiating that's more about tone policing than player safety. You can't be quicker to hand out a tech for eye-rolling than to blow the whistle on a dangerous closeout. But here we are. Let's get into another layer. The culture of silence among players. You think everyone's just fine with how this is going down? Absolutely not. But speaking out? That's risky. Players know what happens when you call out the refs. You get fined. You get labeled as difficult. You get the cold shoulder from the league office. You risk endorsements, minutes, your own reputation. So instead, what happens? Whispers in post-game interviews. Vague tweets. Instagram stories with that one side-eye emoji. You can feel the frustration bubbling up, but no one wants to say it out loud because the league isn't built to support honesty. It's built to control it. And you better believe younger players are watching all of this unfold. Rookies looking at the Sophie situation, wondering, if I go down like that, will anyone protect me? Veterans wondering, how many more injuries do we need before someone actually steps in? The message being sent right now is chilling. You're on your own. Now, let's zoom out and talk about league priorities. The WNBA has been making a ton of noise lately about expansion, TV rights, marketing deals. You know, the shiny stuff. And that's great. Truly, we want the league to grow. We need the visibility. But growth without foundation is dangerous. You can't sell empowerment and sisterhood on one hand, then shrug when a player gets flattened and carted off with a blown-out knee. You can't talk about building a league that protects women and then not protect women when it actually matters. Where is that energy now? Where are the statements? The follow-ups? The action plans? Because we've seen the WNBA move fast when it wants to. You say something spicy in a post-game press conference, and the fine hits your Venmo before you even reach the locker room. But when it comes to safety, protection, actual consequences for physical harm, suddenly everyone's looking into it. It's exhausting. It's enraging. And worst of all, it's predictable. Now, let's go into the personal cost of an injury like this. Sophie Cunningham isn't just dealing with pain. She's facing a career detour, months of rehab, endless physical therapy, the mental toll of watching your team play without you, the psychological weight of knowing that you were taken out, not in some freak accident, but in a moment that many believe could have been prevented. She's going to have to rebuild physically and emotionally. And while she's doing that, the player who initiated the contact, still suiting up, still playing. No suspension, no warning, not even a raised eyebrow from league officials. How do you square that? And more importantly, what kind of message does it send? Let's go ahead and give out another imaginary award here. Biggest gaslight season goes to anyone saying this was just part of the game. Because no, not every injury is created equal. Not every fall is just bad luck. This was a high-contact, aggressive play, and the league chose to look away. There's no getting around that. But here's the plot twist. The fans aren't looking away. They're fired up. They're watching every game now with a side eye toward the refs. They're calling out the missed calls, the lopsided whistles, the plays that should have been stopped and weren't. They're louder, sharper, and frankly, done being patient. You've got fan accounts tracking officiating trends like they're data analysts. Twitter threads dissecting ref bias by quarter. Reddit users proposing entire new officiating systems. People are invested now, not just in the players, but in fixing what's broken. And that might be the one silver lining here. The start of something bigger. Because maybe Sophie Cunningham's injury isn't the end of her season. It's the beginning of a movement, a collective refusal to let things keep sliding, a demand for transparency, for fairness, for basic accountability in a professional league that claims to support its players. She didn't ask to be the face of this conversation, but here she is, front and center, crutches and all. It wouldn't be surprising if she comes back next season not just stronger, but louder. She's got time now to think, to speak, to use her platform however she wants. And you know what? The league should be nervous because she's already got the support, already got the narrative, already got the receipts. So if the WNBA isn't a clean house, she just might. In the meantime, we're watching, all of us, closely, because this isn't just Sophie's story anymore. It's a league-wide reckoning. And if the powers that be won't protect the players and their fans are about to protect themselves. You thought the fallout from Sophie Cunningham's injury was limited to just her and the Indiana fever? Think again. The ripple effects are everywhere, and the league might not be ready for what's coming next. Let's talk about team dynamics, because losing a player like Sophie isn't just about minutes or points. It's about chemistry. She's one of those glue players, the kind who shows up in the stat sheet, sure, but more importantly, shows up in the moments. The fire, the hustle, the bench energy, the let's get this back attitude when the team's down by 10 and everyone else looks defeated. You can't replace that. You can try. You can shift rotations, give rookies more time, call up backups. But that emotional pulse, that edge, it doesn't grow on trees. And now, the Fever locker room has a massive hole. Not just a tactical gap, a spiritual one. You know how some players just set the tone when they walk in the building? That was Sophie. And suddenly, she's gone. You could see it in the first quarter after the injury. Players looked off, like they were still processing. Because you don't just lose a teammate to injury, you lose a sense of momentum, of belief, of invincibility. When a player goes down like that, it reminds everyone else just how fragile this whole thing is. And if you think that doesn't mess with your head on the court, you've clearly never played at this level. Now here's another layer that's been bubbling under the surface. The gender double standard. Let's be honest. If this exact same injury, same moment, same smirk, same non-call happened in the NBA, there would be sirens. There would be headlines. The offender would be trending globally. You'd have Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless foaming at the mouth on national TV. But because it happened in the WNBA, we get maybe a tweet. Maybe. This is the exhausting reality these women live with. They're playing at the highest level, giving everything, body, mind, soul, and when something controversial or dangerous happens, it gets a fraction of the outrage their male counterparts would generate. And what does that say? It says to players like Sophie, your pain doesn't matter as much. Your injury isn't as marketable. Your safety doesn't move the needle unless it's wrapped in a viral moment. That's infuriating. And it's the kind of thing that makes players question why they're putting themselves through this. Why they're fighting for a league that doesn't seem to fight for them with the same energy. Now let's talk about the players' union, because this should have been their moment. You'd expect a coordinated response, a press release, a public demand for a safety review, some fire from the people meant to advocate for the players. And sure, there were a few murmurs, a few behind-the-scenes conversations. But where's the rage? This is where leadership matters. This is where silence is noticed. Because the union should be doing more than negotiating salaries and travel improvements. They should be loud when one of their own gets taken out like this. Instead, the players had to fend for themselves. Again. And when it's up to individuals to raise hell instead of the system that's supposed to protect them, you know the system's broken. Here's something else people aren't talking about. The fans who are getting disillusioned. There's a section of WNBA fans who have stuck around for years, through bad seasons, limited media coverage, and league neglect. These are the people who buy the merch, stream every game, know the rosters, care. They've seen the growth. They've celebrated the wins. But when something like this happens, and the league barely reacts, these fans notice. And some of them are starting to check out. You see the comments, the quote tweets, the I love this league, but posts. It's not just frustration anymore, it's fatigue. They're tired of yelling into the void, tired of hoping the next commissioner, the next CBA, the next marketing campaign will be the one that finally fixes things. Because if the WNBA can't even get it right when a star player gets injured in full view of the cameras, what hope is there for the issues we don't see? And you know who else is watching this mess unfold? College players, international prospects, the future of the league. Imagine being a top NCAA star, eyeing the draft, trying to decide if the W is really the dream. Then you see this. Sophie Cunningham writhing on the floor. No call, no consequence, no real outrage. You see the message that sends? It says, come play here. We'll celebrate you until you need protecting. Then you're on your own. The WNBA wants to be a destination, wants to grow, attract global talent, elevate women's sports. But respect goes both ways. You can't expect athletes to give you their everything if they don't feel protected when it counts. You can't expect loyalty from fans when you're inconsistent with justice. You can't expect momentum when your silence is louder than your action. And let's talk about Bria Hartley for a second. She's been quiet. No apology. No statement. No acknowledgement. And look, maybe she's being told to stay silent. Maybe her camp thinks saying nothing is safer. Maybe she didn't mean for any of this to happen. But silence, in this case, reads like guilt. Even if it's not. Even if it's just damage control. If there's no remorse, no explanation, no, that wasn't my intention moment, then people are left to assume, and people assume the worst. That smirk? It may have been nothing, but the refusal to address it? That's everything. Because at the end of the day, if you're part of the WNBA, you're part of family, a hyper-competitive, gritty, emotional, passionate family, but a family nonetheless. And if you take out one of your own, even accidentally, you say something, you acknowledge the fallout. You show that you understand the weight of what happened. But we didn't get that. We got silence. And the silence is louder than anything she could have said. Now here's a question that's creeping up more and more. Who's next? Because if this incident isn't taken seriously, it sets a precedent. It tells other players, you can push boundaries. You can get reckless. You can smile while someone's being helped off the floor, and no one will stop you. That's terrifying. So here's what the WNBA has to do. Immediately, issue a real statement, not a generic, we're monitoring blurb, something with teeth. Bring in third-party oversight for officiating. The refs need consequences too. Empower players to speak up without fear. Fines or honesty? That's got to go. And honestly, it shouldn't have to take this much noise for basic protection. Sophie Cunningham gave her body to this league. The least the league can do is give her its voice. But if they won't, we will. The fans, the teammates, the ones who've been here, who aren't going away, who refuse to let this be brushed under the rug like all the other uncomfortable conversations. And trust me, we're watching. Do you think Sophie Cunningham will return next season with a vengeance? Will the league actually take the right steps to protect its players? Or is this the beginning of a long, messy reckoning the WNBA can't avoid any longer? Hit that subscribe button for more unfiltered chaos, controversy, and all the meltdowns mainstream media is too scared to touch. Until then, keep your head up, keep receipts ready, and never trust a smirk in a silence-filled arena.